koutou katoa, e ho mā, no mai, haere mai, ki te papataka or StayMe Always, bringing it to you organic, live and dynamic. So bring me your cups. Sorry, it's a bit out of reach. Hold on, one moment. Oh.
She was supposed to tell you to have a cup ready because
Sweet, that'll do. Cheers. And let's dip into the healing well. Well, I am privileged enough to have Reuben Parkinson on the show today, and what we've actually found out, I've known for a little while, but Reuben's just found out we're actually very closely related. We've known her from back on the east coast in Te Kaha. So professional rugby player for the Highlanders Hurricanes, ventured overseas, played for Japan, business mogul, multiple businesses here, there, all around the Motu. And we were talking just earlier also that you've got a side hustle that is passionate to you called Blood Brothers, which we will talk about. But the show, and I love to talk about this with everybody in our audience, is all about my 3 totem poles. The focus is on mental well-being, emotional wellness, and spiritual awareness. And everything we've spoken about just recently prior to the show with Reuben, absolutely everything he does encapsulates those 3 totem poles. So look, I'm going to hand it over to you, Reuben. Do you just want to give us a bit of a synopsis of yourself and what you're up to?
Oh, kia ora kōrua. My name's Reuben Parkinson, and I come from a little place that you two know. It's down on the east coast, Whanapanui. We've sort of brought up down there, and right from the word go, we didn't have a lot, but we were taught to fish and dive and hunt and look after each other and provide for each other. And they went away to school in Auckland, went to St. Stephen's, and that was a real eye-opener because we'd never really been out of the coast, and we went straight to Auckland, and it was a real challenge, but I loved it. Loved going to school there. Loved all parts of the rugby and the Māori culture there. And then I pretty much, cut a long story short, went to Dunedin and did some study down there and became a rugby player and didn't finish my study because I was too busy playing rugby. And then life sort of had its ups and downs and trials and tribulations, and I've ended up living in the Mount with a lovely wife and children, and new to the granddad realm too. So life's great. Thanks, Jamie.
Look, I know just speaking about you transitioned from being a professional rugby player to your everyday life. Do you just want to give us a bit of an idea in terms of what that was like and how that transition actually played out for you?
Yeah, we sort of come through the professional era. There was not a lot of support wrapped around us in particular. And I was talking to my cousin yesterday, Rua Tapuki, and he said the same challenges. And there's been a few of us that's gone through it. And pretty much we're thrust into this realm where young Māori boys, given a lot of money, a lot of responsibility, and didn't really know how to handle it. So, for me, I went to Japan and had amazing life, and it was like a lot of really cool things, and but I wasted a lot of money, Jamie. I bought all the toys, man. I had all the flash cars and all that rubbish, and but then sort of transitioning out of that sort of professional rugby life into everyday life was a real struggle, man. Like, people don't understand how hard it is to live a normal life when you've come from everything that's always been catered for you, or every minute of your day is really well structured, and you know what you have to do and what you have to eat and when you train and everything like that. And then to come out of that into standing on your own 2 feet, and I know it sounds ridiculous for people that have done it all their lives, but it's a real challenge. And just so many things that really us, in particular, us young Māori men went through, and to tell you the truth, mainly around alcohol. We, and I speak for myself here, was just out of control at times, and nearly lost my family and my wife, and lost so much money. But James, so it was really, really tough. But in saying that, looking back on it, like honestly, I wouldn't change anything for the world. Like it's made me a better person, and I think that if somewhere along the line spiritually, someone said, Rube's got to pull his head in, man. We got to show him what real life is all about again. Like where he came from nothing, and he thinks he's 50 Cent. I was grounded. Man, and I will never change anything. It was awesome.
From that experience, what do you think, what sort of recommendations can you make for our young Māori and our young men coming through that are possibly going to be in a similar position to you, to help them when they transition? Because ultimately, that you'd need to start teaching them earlier on before it gets too late down the track.
Yeah. Oh, I just think it's like, having a real understanding on what makes you happy, and it's not money, and it's not the flash cars, and it's not the extrinsic things. It's the intrinsic things. The things that make you feel good about yourself. And just to the young fellas out there, just try and be, it's easy to say, but just try and be grounded. Just try to, it's about really building a good person, like a good young male. Doesn't have to be male. Sorry, a good young person will be good at anything they choose to be. And I think we sort of we'll always just be a good rugby player, not to be a good person. Like a good person was a side thing, and that really got us in a lot of trouble. Nowadays, they're working really hard on creating a really good person, and then that person becomes a great rugby player. That's just an example. But I think it's just working hard on, just a good values, being a real good person, being kind, just really good characteristics. And I reckon if you can get a hold of that, and have just that humility, and just being a really good person, then doesn't matter how much money or what size contract you sign. If that's going to be, you're going to be a good person. You're going to understand how to handle that really well. So, yeah.
Having the right people around you to give you that support and that strength, especially when you need to reach out and ask for help, that's obviously stuff.
Yeah, I think, and it's really tough for us young Māori, because we're brought up to, that hard and up thing, that, and we never speak about things that trouble us. It's like we're the problem solvers. We're the ones that meant to hold everything together. So we're not the ones that meant to have problems. So, but things are, it's just so different now. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be, shit, man. It's okay to cry, man. It's okay to be emotional, and it's okay to reach out to friends and family, because, it's the old days are gone. How it's like, shut up, harden up, you're right. The old days, there's people around you, whether you probably don't really understand or believe it, but there's people around you that really will help. And I'm sure, any person out there that's sort of struggling at times, it's never that bad, man. And it's never as bad as you think it is. The sun's always going to come up tomorrow. It's never, it doesn't matter what you're going through. Reach out to someone, and someone, there's always someone that cares for you.
And Reuben, you've got children. Obviously, you're a papa.
Yeah. I got 4 kids. I've got 2 boys, 2 girls. My oldest boy is 23, and he's just had a little boy. His name's Rupena, and his son's name's Rupena Jr. And then I've got another son who's Kalani, and he's 21. And then I've got 2 girls. Tia, who's down at university in Otago, getting a degree in drinking piss, and and she's 16, and then my little girl, she's 12, Mika Rose.
Beautiful, beautiful family. With your boys, and actually you can reference your girls as well. What sort of things have you done differently, being a father, than what you experienced when you were obviously that age as well?
I think what I've really worked hard on with my boys, Jamie, is that just what I sort of talked about, like just like always help them have great values and be good people and have great humility and just being like really, really good people. And one of the greatest compliments a parent can never get is like when someone else says how great your child is, and it's not how great a rugby player is, it's how great a kid he is. And I know that my boys, my children are going to do really well in life because they've got a really good grounding and they understand what it is to be a good person.
And that's hard to instill in kids, because ultimately what you think you're doing is correct, and we talk about on the show all the time about the first 7 years of a child's life and the effect that it can have on them, long term, and also knowing their identity, especially for young men. Like for yourself, Reuben, did you know your identity growing up, and was that ever an issue?
No, it was never an issue. I grew up in we were really in a lot of support, a lot of love. Didn't have a lot of money, but that was, we were brought up in an amazing place that just idyllic, like heaps of fishing, heaps of hunting, heaps of diving. We were really close as a family. Mum and Dad did everything they can for us to get ahead, sent us away to school, and like 5 or 6 years later, after we'd finished, they'd finished paying off our fees. So there was never any sort of, I don't have that that hard luck life bringing and that neglect or anything. I had a really, really good upbringing, and just unfortunately I just sort of went off track a little bit. I thought I was better than what I really was, and that kind of thing.
I'm just going to make my foray into this because I know all about putty, obviously. Because I think me and you, or me and Mutz, are the same age. And because I wasn't a rugby player per se, I was more tennis player and doing other stuff. But because I know you two, especially Mutz, really well, because I remember when he played at the secondary school's Rugby World Cup for Tipene and Whakatane there, back a few moons ago. But I've definitely watched you at the Otago Highlanders. It was just amazing to have a whanaunga who I knew, Kanohi ki te Kanohi, playing Super Rugby. And then I remember watching you win an NPC title with Otago as well. And I watched your whole career avidly and just admired you from afar. And at some stages, I'd be too scared to come up and say hello to you guys. And it was Matsu. Yeah, don't be stupid because we're your cousins from the coast. But it's a bit hard because when we're watching you guys on TV, and unless you come from that environment, you actually too whakamā to come and say hello, and which is one of the other reasons why we created this show, was that people can connect via the show to people like you and people of your ilk who have been high profile and high echelon sportsmen. And then obviously what you're talking about now and what the show is ultimately about. Yeah, it's been amazing having people like you to role model after, and then listening to you talk the real goss about real life right here. Yeah, amazing.
Oh, thank you very much, Jens. It's pretty awesome to hear those awesome, kind words, my man. I think somewhere along the line that doesn't help, bro. Like when people put you up on a pedestal, or when they are too shy to come and say hello to you, because then that happens so much, man. And then you know, if you don't have a really good grip on things, you end up sort of thinking that you're too good for people, you know, and that's the problem, brother. That's the problem, man. But it's no one else's problem but yourselves, you know, and you're the one that's created that. So, not looking to point any fingers or attribute any blame, bro. But oh man, I think it's exciting that, you know, we've had some awesome talent come out of the coast, man. We're really proud of, you know, a tiny little place like ours. We've had some amazing people come out there. Like, not only rugby players. Look at Taika, and you know, it's pretty awesome, man. Look at what we've got. Willie Apiata. We got some amazing people come out of the coast there.
Jamie, for the last month, just tabling our whanaunga who have come out of there. I even showed her 2 cars one night. She didn't know Taika made that. I mean, these are our people. These are our whanaunga right from the Pito at Wapanui. Mm-hmm. And then I was talking about my journey and how I used to be too shy to come up to you. And I was lucky I knew Mats through Shana, Maxi's older sister.
Oh, yeah.
Kemara, because they're my first cousins, so we're from Whakapawa. And then, because where are you at? Are you at Whanarua or Maraihapu?
Whanarua.
Yeah, because that's where the homestead is, eh?
Yeah.
So, because I remember coming there when I was little and I was like, oh, that's Reuben Parkinson. I just used to buzz, but what that actually did for me is it inspired me to go after my dreams, and then that's how I ended up in the Dubais and the New Yorks, because people like you, people that I had a direct connection to, and you watch you guys aspire and make it and become high profile rugby players, and then it gives us the impetus. It actually is believing, because that's what you guys did to me, and I believed, and then I ended up in London being a Sony UK artist, and never in a day would have I ever dreamed sitting up at the marae at Tupare, you know, running around in the paddocks after the horses. I would never have dreamed that I would ever have gotten there, and yet I got there because of people like you who inspired me. So, yeah, Modi.
Awesome.
We were talking about, you both spoke of gifts and talents. Would you say rugby was a talent of yours?
Yep, I think so, Jamie. A little bit of both. It was our sort of like, the old man drummed it into us. So it was our way of creating a better life for ourselves. So we were like at a young age, like the old man used to make us train really hard, you know, like as a little kid. So we had really, really good work ethic. And we definitely had some talent, man. We, you know, like my mum's an Osborne, so we have it on both sides. So we have Parkinsons that are All Blacks, and we have Osbornes that are All Blacks. So we have it on both sides. So it's always been in the blood for us. But the old man installed really good work ethic, and it was our way out of, or creating a better life for ourselves and that kind of thing. So, but yeah, and rugby, you know, like every young boy in New Zealand wants to be a rugby player. So yeah, that was it for us too.
I must have been the odd one up because I wanted to be a soccer player. I was too small. Like, I'm 6'2" now, 100 kg.
Oh.
When I was a young fella, I was nowhere near that. I was like 7 kg and still 6'2". But yeah. Just quietly, I just wanted to mention this because I remember, and this is no knock on Jason O'Halloran, because good player, solid player. But I remember that game. And the sentiments around the country back then, and you know which game I'm talking about. Like, you should have been an All Black that year, and so I'm going to put that on the record on the show. And then obviously everybody's anticipating the game between you guys and the All Blacks, and where you come up 1-on-1 against Jason O'Halloran, and I watched you snot him. Yay!
Yeah, cheers, bro. Yeah, I went on to play for Japan, you know, and I went on to have a great life in Japan, man, and you know, I have no regrets, brother. Like, you know, to experience the Japanese culture and to learn another language it was pretty special, and just to, you know, get my family out of New Zealand and for them to experience a whole new life and another life was fantastic. Yeah.
For all those young tāne out there who believe they've got that talent, or kind of figure out if rugby is their talent. What sort of suggestions can you make to help them to further grow and develop and nurture that talent to get them to where you've been?
Well, Jamie, I just think that I think you just got to have a burning desire to want to make it. I think you have to. It doesn't matter what you choose, in particular rugby. You've got to put a lot of hard work, and it'll never just happen. And I think so. If you're to any young rugby players or budding young rugby players, it's all about making some massive sacrifices and putting a lot of hard work in. And you got. I think like anything, you gotta love it, and you got to do it for the right reasons. Don't do it because you want to be like your mate. Do it because you actually love it and you want to do it for a job, And you guys know, man, like if you want to be successful at something, it's just all about the mahi.
It takes a lot of hard work and a lot of hours, especially that's for me because I'm a music producer. And I've lost count of how many hours of songs that I've written for major artists.
Yeah.
It's always that same sentiment. It's always you got to do the mahi.
Yeah.
Today's generation, and this is why I brought up Pari earlier. He's a shining example of putting that work in, but he obviously gets it from Uncle Rubes and Uncle Mux.
Yeah. Sorry, Jamie, you go.
I was just going to say, growing up for myself, I played rugby for a very, very short stint. And women's rugby back then, and I'm not going to tell you how many years ago, because they're not real the number. The problem with when I was playing was there wasn't enough women playing. There wasn't any clubs. There was very few here in Hamilton. And every time we would go, they would cancel because something would happen with the team, something would happen with the club. And I was absolutely gutted back then because that's something I actually loved. And I was the winger and a flanker, but I'm so small and so short. I'm surprised I actually got put into flank, but I love that position. But nowadays, it's amazing how the evolution and the growth and the development of women's rugby is now, underway. And I'm so gutted. I'm going to do it now, but I just love the fact that women's rugby is out there and it's flourishing, and it's amazing because back then I was told I'm female, I'm a woman, I shouldn't be playing rugby, and I said middle finger up, and I gave it a go, and I absolutely loved it. But we just need to keep encouraging our youth to strive for something that they're passionate about, something that they love.
Yeah, totally agree, Jamie. And I think that's it. When you have something that you're so passionate about, then you put a lot of your positive time and effort into it, and then you don't have that idle hands and there's itchy feet. And us Māoris are really bad at not doing the right things with that idle time. So that was a real, that was a saviour in my life, having rugby, because even now, I'm always on the go. I've always got to be doing something. My brain's always going nuts, and so keep occupied in a positive manner is the way to go.
How has COVID been for you around 12 months ago? Because ultimately, it's absolutely changed where we were 12 months up until now. And have you found that your mental health and your emotional wellness has been affected in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah, but. Yes, definitely, Jamie, but in a funny way, in a strange way, and I don't really know how it's happened. My mental health and my mental well-being's been changed in a real positive way. Most people have had negative responses, I think, but I've just really come, and I don't know how it's come, but I've just really come back into connection with my spirituality, Jamie. I'm not a religious person, but I'm very spiritual, and we're brought up very, very spiritual down the coast, where every sound of a bird, every change of the wind means something, and through life and on that little treadmill of life, we've gone away from that, man. We've gone away from the things that really, really meant something inside you, and so we've been working hard and opening myself to getting my spirituality back, and get in alignment with nature, and really understanding the law of attraction, and everything happens to you because of you. You know, like, doesn't matter if it's good or bad, it's because of you, and it's about you taking ownership of that. And if you're always attributing blame on other people, then there's no way you can solve that problem. But if you own it and you say, well, it's my problem, whether it's good or bad. If it's good, you don't have to be arrogant about it, but you can be very proud of it. If it's bad, then there's something you can change, and there's something you need to do differently. Eh?
I love the fact that you spoke about, getting back into nature and also spirituality. When I was a child, we would go to Tikaha, and we would love it. We'd run up the bush. It was a lush bush up the back of the homestead, and my twin sister and I and my younger sister would literally just run around the back, in through the trees, and we'd just sit there and we'd just listen to the birds, the trees. And it was amazing how connected you came to the whenua and what was happening around you. And now fast forward to, I'm not going to tell you how many years, it's like it's non-existent anymore. And the ambience now is sirens, horns, people yelling and screaming and crying, etc. And I've kind of lost that connection. A couple of shows ago, we had Horomona Horo on the show. Yeah. And he gave us an amazing piece with his taonga poro. And it took me right back to when I was a child. It was absolutely enchanting and amazing. But yeah, and also Howie, we had Howie Morrison Jr. on the show, and he said the exact same thing as yourself, and he's an avid pig hunter. And I know before the show you mentioned about your side hustle, Blood Brothers. So it's kind of a great segue into this. So do you want to tell us what that's all about?
Jamie, Blood Brothers is initially started up by me and my brother Mutz, and Mutz is well known, like everyone knows Mutz, because he's done a few TV shows, Hunting Aotearoa, and with Oz on, what's that other one they did. But so him and I used to always just, and it's come from social media, we used to post up what we love doing, and fishing, hunting, diving, and then we just got a lot of interest in it. We got so many people asking us, how do you do that, and why do you do that, and da da da. Cut a long story short, I came up with the name Blood Brothers, obviously because it's relatable to him and I. And fast forward a year or so, and my oldest son and my two sons are involved with it, and really we just gather content about the positive things we do in around nature, and how much value can be added to your whānau and to your own self by learning how to hunt, and learning how to fish, and having respect for nature, and having appreciation for your surroundings, and it's not about killing and slaying. It's about we actually love hunting and the challenge, and we love wild pigs. We don't hate them. We have appreciation for them and what they have to provide for us. And it's sort of like, and it's all about us boys reconnecting with nature and being really positive role models. And it's been an awesome journey. And we've got some huge sponsors that come on board and hop in behind us, because they understand and they see what we're trying to do. You hear about these like social media influencers. Well, we want to be that in a positive Māori male realm, like we want to be those type of people that we want to be our young Māori men and women look up to as being like, let's do that, instead of all this other noise that goes on around them. And
take me in, I'm in.
What's that, brother?
Take me in, I'm in.
Yeah, love to, man. Anytime you're over our way, we'll get you out there.
And it's on all social platforms?
Yeah. So Facebook and Insta. We're working really hard. We're all busy lives, so it's our side little gig. I think to really sort of like take it to the next level, someone needs a one of us needs to put a bit more time into it. But at the moment, we enjoy what we do. We do it in our spare time. Yeah, but there's a lot more bigger things to come. We've got some pretty exciting merchandise coming out, and yeah, we really enjoy it.
Yeah, good.
No, that's awesome. And that's something that we are also doing through the Healing Well, really focusing on those 3 totem poles. What's really important for me is with my role at Pagani, being the National Retail Manager, I was surrounded by 100, 150 women of all ages over multiple years, and we had to mentor these women because a lot of the trials and tribulations of life, sexual harassment, bullying, domestic violence, teen pregnancy, suicide, you name it, we dealt with it. And over the years, I've realised that I've been able to really help and support a lot of these women. And COVID last year was really the pinnacle for me. I had a lot of males and females messaging me through Messenger, just asking me, for help, because a lot of the men couldn't see their kids for various reasons, and then a lot of the females just needed to connect with somebody. And this is the product ultimately last COVID. So yeah, we're like you. We're pushing this kaupapa to help everyone.
Fantastic. I think you guys are doing a great thing, man. Like, it's so sad to hear, and we still have the work statistics and always on the bottom of the heap, and it's really sad. But people like you guys are doing wonderful things, and we just need to keep being positive for our culture. Eh?
Absolutely.
And actually, it's interesting you just said the word culture. That's something that's really been evident in kaupapa, really reaching out and going back home, talking about what our grandparents did back in the day, because ultimately what they did, it's actually now translating into these times to try and help us move forward. How much has your culture influenced you and kept you on the narrow and really identify with who you are?
Yeah, I think it's been, it's always been something that was always with me. But you know what, Jamie, I've only recently learned how special it really is, and I sort of I've taken my culture and that for granted for so long. But now, instead of taking from my culture and that, I wanna give back to it. I'm gonna go. I've enrolled in university next year to do a total immersion reo course, and I'm very whakamā because I can speak Japanese, but I can't speak Māori, and that's terrible, So I want to learn my language, and I want to sort of give back to the culture. But my Māori culture has always been really, really strong. Te ao Māori and the tikanga, my reo hasn't been that great. It's mainly because my dad never saw the value in the reo, and because he was brought up in that way that they nearly got it knocked out of them. So and I wish that he passed it on, because he is a very eloquent Māori speaker, but he didn't see the value in it. But really, really exciting times. How there's a new wave. There's a new wave happening in New Zealand, and Māori are really coming forward, and it's a special time.
No, I totally agree. Look, I'm in the same boat as you. Really appreciate where I came from, my election, and it's amazing when you're in another country. Know how much you feel as though you stand out.
Yeah.
Proud, purely because the way that you look, but the fact of the matter is that you know that you're Māori and you're the only one actually in that crowd. Beautiful females, just saying. But yeah, again, I did not grow up speaking the reo, and I'm like yourself. I'm trying to understand it and learn it better and give back to our Māori community. But it's not just about our Māori community. It's about actually all cultures, all ethnicities. And again, this is why this show is amazing, because it's a safe space for everybody. But I absolutely take my hat off to you, because it is hard, especially when growing up, the reo wasn't so popular. And in my case, you didn't speak, Neil. It was stupid. It was dumb, back at high school. But nowadays, it's something that everybody needs to come to grips with, because ultimately, if we don't, the culture's going to die. So it's good that, yourself and everybody else is jumping on board and moving forward.
Yeah. Like you're saying, Jamie, and you guys know the same. You travel around the world and been around the world lots, and it's pretty cool to go to a lot of places, and you're special the way you look, and you're special the way you act, and you're special the way you are, and it's all because we're Māori. And I think that we need to be really, really proud of who we are, and we are special people in this country. We're not the ones that our great grandparents grew up with, that were sort of pushed aside and treated as nobodies. We're actually more special than anyone else in this country, and we've got to act like it, like in a positive way, not whakahi or not arrogant, but we've got to know that we've got a place to stand in this place, and it's a good place.
And we're role models, so we have to make sure that we're right in the direction for ourselves.
Yeah.
Now, we were talking before we started the show, business mogul. Well, I said that anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not the businesses. So tell us a bit about that, and also if COVID has actually affected your business.
My current business at the moment, I've had a few, but my current one is I have a ready-mix concrete business in Tauranga, Mount Maunganui, and I've got trucks. Like during the lockdown, it was a little bit challenging, but what's really happened in our industry is that because people don't have the ability to travel, they're spending a lot more money on their houses. And so an example is like we'll do a lot of spa pool, slabs and that, and it's purely because people have that disposable income, can't travel when they normally would travel, and they're sort of buying things for around their house. So our industry is our business, in particular in this area, has really, really taken off. The growth has been phenomenal.
And did you find, COVID, and maybe it's not necessarily yourself, but people around you, was that hard during COVID last year and this year for a lot of people? Because I know a number of people, especially in the industry that I was in, a lot of redundancies, people obviously losing their roles, having to try and apply for new positions. It was stressful. It's been stressful for some. Yeah.
You know what, Jamie? I just want to be truthful. I really didn't see that, because I packed my family up on the day we went into lockdown, and we shot down the coast, and we went down the coast, and I got a house down there, and it was an amazing experience to have 6 weeks with my mum and 6 weeks as a whānau unit that we spent every day with, because nowadays we're really time poor as a people. Man, we don't have much time with our kids and with each other, so we gapped it down the coast, and we had the most amazing time together. Every morning we get up and exercise together as a whānau, and it was like being back in the old days. We went out and did the fishing, and we shared all the fish out to our local whānaus around the place, and one of the guys did the hunting and shared it out, and my wife and that did some baking, and so it was a real community feel down the coast, and we really looked after each other and made sure each other was well. And it's like, what a shame we've gone so far away from that, man. We're just worried about ourselves all the time. We never worried about our neighbours, and we never worried about other people. We're just so caught up into this little rat race of a world, man. And it's all about, me, myself, and Irene. And unfortunately, I think that's a major breakdown, man. Is we don't have the time to look after each other and care for each other like we used to. Like if we had a little bit of extra, then we'd go and share it with the whānau next door, and so did they. But it's not like that anymore, and it's really, really sad, eh?
We've gone away from the days where there was a lot of focus on whānau and family and actually being with one another. All of a sudden, it's now, being for yourself, although unfortunately parents these days both have to go to work just to pay the bills and put food on the table.
Yeah.
It's a sentiment that's being expressed the world over, really, because unfortunately that's the system. And really, it's not till you go away for X amount of years and then you come home, especially for me, being away for so long and then coming home and reconnecting with my tūranga waiwai, especially to Apanui, because I'm tūturu. I'm a Kemara and a Dalamere. And so I'm connected to both sides, both ends, and then also over at Pōtaka and the Ngāti Porou there, because we've got our whenua at Lotten Point there, a place that you would know very well. And just being back and being re-immersed in my culture and going back to uni next year like you and learning my reo. And then it's the whānau unit, and I notice how that's been fragmented to a severe degree here. For me, I expect it overseas, especially in Western countries, but I didn't expect it to be here. But I'm very privileged to be around people like Jamie and Ongurikirangi Keti at Little Awanui there, and just all our whānau who are dotted all over the motu, and we really need to take the lead as rangatira and re-establish that korimako and re-establish what Apirana Ngata voiced so vociferously back then when he was in office, and bring that korimako back together and really establish the community values and the family values as you've been echoing throughout the show, Rubes. It's our values. Our values have wandered off, and for those of us that have come back to it, we really need to re-establish that and bring our communities in. Doesn't matter whether they're Māori, but I always say this to everybody overseas. New Zealand is infamous because of our Māori culture. We are the ones who put the iwi into Kiwi. And I tell that to everybody else. There's another kupu ho for the show. I always do that. I always make up kupu because I do branding. But it's amazing. I just had a quick gander through obviously your page on Insta. So I've just added you, followed you, and then followed Blood Brothers. And that kaupapa is amazing because that's what the healing well is about. But then, being Māori, this is who we are. When we get back to the intrinsic nature and the innate qualities of who we actually are, we're about whānau. That's the epicenter of our communities. And you see the degradation with governments who create policies, and they're not even parents like Helen Clark, and they're actually the ones that do this to our motu. And so it's up to us to bring that back. And so, it's amazing to hear what you're doing with Mutts and Blood Brothers and the whānau.
Yeah, bro, I just think, someone might be watching this and go, this is all very well, but what can I do? So I just think that, you may not have a light, and you're sitting there and watching this amazing show, and you're thinking oh, this is all very well, but, life's a struggle. I just think, man, it doesn't matter whether you have money or no money, but if you try and make some time to do something with your kids and the appreciation that they'll get out of that and the happiness that you'll feel, and that's what it's all about, bro. Stop giving them the gadgets so it's an easy out because you don't want to do anything. You give them a gadget that keeps them quiet and puts them over there in the corner, and it takes any responsibility or makes you friggin' lazy. Get up, grab your child by the hand, walk outside and do something with them, man. You don't have to have anything but a bloody stick and a stone and make some fun out of it. And it's the time that you'll spend is worth more money than anything in the world to that child, eh? So I reckon, bro, it's good for you, man, as an adult, and it's great for the child. So
the other things I try and suggest, I call them momentum brushes in my post here. So momentum brushes are the things that you do to palpate your senses to make you feel the way that you need to feel, etc. And I give a lot of suggestions. And for me, with my kids, and again, like you were saying, if you're wanting to do something, you know what, when you walk down the street, just smile at someone.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the small things that actually make a difference. And if you see somebody that is struggling with a bag, and I know I've experienced it firsthand, coming backwards and forwards from Australia with 2 babies, like a literally a newborn baby and a 2-year-old, and I'm struggling trying to get the bags off the carousel, trying to get the trolley, trying to get everything, and not one person would help me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I can tell you, just smiling at somebody and just offering a hand will absolutely...
Especially with the $1 million smiles that you two have.
Jamie, mate. Woo. Oh, I totally agree.
In the water at Hawaii.
Yeah.
But no, you're absolutely right. There's always something we can do. But a couple more questions. Reuben, who was your hero growing up?
My hero growing up, my hero now has always been my dad. My dad was a tough old bugger, man. Like did a lot of time inside, but he was a good-looking fella. He tried his damnedest to be a good dad, and at times he was a shit dad, man. But at times he was a great dad, and he just I know in his heart he tried his best. You know, like it may not been the best at everything, but he tried his hardest. And him and my mum sacrificed a lot to give us a life that they never had. And so, yeah, my dad's always been my hero. My dad's always been my God and the one that I look up to. And so sometimes probably not a great role model, but that's for me to decipher.
Absolutely. Teasy, who was your hero growing up?
My kuro. And yeah, I mean, I set my sentiments with you, Rue, because you only know what you know when you know it, and a lot of the time people are just emulating what they see or what they read, and because they didn't have social media back then, and even if they do now, they probably don't even activate it. And so even though we have a plethora of information available to us via social media, the things that we're learning now, they couldn't possibly have known that. And I think the information that we have available to us via online platforms and infrastructure, because we have so much information to latch onto and to read and to learn, it's actually been an imperious impetus to where we've gone as young fellas and to where we are now, because we're learning different ideology, we're learning different philosophy, and it's actually, there's a massive shift in consciousness right now moving forward, and you're on that waka, we're on that waka, and there's a whole lot of whānau all over the motu on that waka, and it's amazing. And so would I hold my koro accountable for things that he didn't do so well in my life? Well, first of all, it wasn't his responsibility. It was my father's. And my father, unfortunately, got killed in a car accident before I was born. And so do I hold my koro accountable for that? No, because it wasn't his responsibility in the first place. And sometimes life, it just throws curveballs at you. And unfortunately, we deal with it how we deal with it. And however that evolves and unfolds and got us to here, I'm much like yourself. Do I have any regrets? No, because if I didn't go through everything I went through, I wouldn't be the person that I am now. I definitely wouldn't have reached out to you and asked you to come on the show, because I would have been still too whakamā to talk to you. But yeah, having been overseas, because you look at all the opportunities that we've had, and like, were we even dreaming of those things when we were, little pickaninnies playing in the Hāparapara River when we were young fellas? No, we weren't. We were just throwing beach stones and skimming stones across the water, and probably trying to take down a few wood pigeons at the same time. But yeah, so my koro was my hero. He sounds very much the same, and men of that ilk back in those days. they were around about the same, you know, hunters, fishers, hunter-gatherers, because that's what our people are infamous worldwide for. Yeah.
And look, one more question from me. What fills your cup?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm always striving to be better, Jamie. Like here's an example. Like I get up at 3 o'clock every morning, and I for an hour I sort of like I have a little karakia, and I do a little bit of stretching, and then from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock I go to the gym. I work out, and I do that because that's what makes me feel good. What makes me feel positive. It makes me feel good. So in terms of filling my cup, like I just want to be the absolute best dad, husband, and person that I can be. I'm not trying to be better than anyone else. I'm just trying to be my best version. And I always thought about, I just don't want to be lying on my deathbed having any regrets, like I don't want to be shit. I should have done that. I could have done that. I would have done that. Like I just want to we only get one chance at this walkway down this walkway of life, and I just want to make the absolute best of that, like I want to meet my maker, and my maker gives me a high five and said, man, you did the best you can, so that's what fills my cup, Jamie. I just want to, every day I'm just like striving to be something a little bit better than I was the day before.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I think for me too. What I've found over the years is that don't put yourself first. How can you possibly put else?
Yeah.
But I mean that sincerely in a way where mentally, spiritually, emotionally, you have to be in that right place. Because otherwise, there's no way that you can help your kids up the farm.
Yeah.
Across the road, grandmother.
Yeah, man, I totally agree with you, Jamie. Like, that's what I'm all about, man. If you can't, I think people need to sort of understand. If you can't be good to yourself, you can't be good to anyone else. Like, and so, I mean, like, it's about having really like looking after yourself, being really healthy. Because I don't want to be a burden on anyone else. Like I want to be healthy. I want to be strong. I want to be the epitome that my sons look up to and go like, oh, we want to be like our dad, and so yeah, I'm so all about it, man. Like I think it was something special in the year that connected us to make this happen. Like there's a lot of things been happening recently, and this is one of them, and it's in and around our spirituality and connecting with things that mean are really important in our lives.
I know, Cheesy, you've got some cool questions, don't you?
I've just started doing this because I did it yesterday with another pro. Within the wellness world, and my whole take on the wellness world is the wellness world doesn't need to be a small pocket where people go to and visit. It needs to be a marae where people can go and stay and get well, because I'm pretty sure that's what our tupuna used to do. And our tupuna were geniuses. So without further ado, here comes your 10 quick fire. Nets or Lakers?
Lakers.
Pork or chicken?
Pork.
Watercress or puha?
Watercress.
Pink or green?
Green.
Prince or MJ?
MJ.
Mountain, maunga or awa?
Awa.
Snowboard or surf?
Surf.
Lab or meditation music?
Meditation music.
Sorry.
I couldn't hear you, bro. I'm sorry.
LAB or meditation music?
Oh, LAB.
Yeah. Japan or Māori All Blacks? I just thought I'd put that one.
Japan.
Hunting or fishing?
Or diving.
Hunting.
Hunting. Kina or crayfish?
Kina.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I just want to say a massive thank you to you, Reuben, for jumping on the show today and sharing all those little gems that we can pass on to our audience and everybody that watches the show. If you were to leave it and pass on some words of wisdom from yourself, what would those words of wisdom be?
Jamie, like what we just talked about, how me and Ants had a role model and someone to look up to. Like I really believe people watching this and they go, well, fuck, I got no one to look up to. I reckon, like you guys are, the epitome of what we should be looking up to. And so, if you're watching this and going, shit, I wish I had someone like them. Well, you do have someone like us. So I just want people to touch base with Jamie and Ants and more than welcome myself. We here to help, man, here to support, and here to wrap some love around it.
Absolutely. So everybody, you heard that from the man, the myth, the legend, Reuben Parkinson. So we're all on social media. I'm on TZ Created, StayMe Always with Jamie, and then Reuben Parkinson. I mean, I looked him up and I found him just like that, and I followed him. And yeah, he's been a hero of mine, him and his younger brother Mutt. So yeah, really, really blessed to have whanaunga and have those kinds of connections, especially from the kiriru.
Thank you very much, guys, man. Absolute pleasure to be on board, and yeah, I just love what you guys are doing. Awesome.
Oh, fabulous. Thank you so much. And look, for all of you out there that are looking for a little bit of help or want to reach out, just a couple of social media sites that you can jump on. So with Reuben's Blood Brothers, Facebook, Insta, also Manaki Order, which is an app that you can download through Apple and Google stores. And then also a friend of ours, George Lake, he's also started his own Facebook page called Special Mention. So yeah, if you need anything, we're absolutely here for you. If I could make a recommendation, if you could do one thing, it's just doing something different every single day to help yourself, but also help somebody else. So thank you so much. Thank you, Tizi. Thank you, Reuben. Ngā mihi. And you know what? We're going to get you on the show again.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Yeah.